So where we left off was we were talking about the um, encouraging specific things to land up in certain milestones. And the other thing I was thinking about was um, for the first one, we can also encourage the team that this is the way that we're trying to work going forward. And for verifying all replicated data, this is what we would like to try do and see how that works.
Yes.
So we want to try get it into a good state, push it through the process that we've defined, and get it done for a specific milestone, and then retrospect about how that went.
I think that's fair. I think actually, like, I'm thinking about it, but like in a way, I think it is probably my responsibility to determine exactly when, is that true?
I think you're going to say like when it should be built and when it should be delivered.
Yes, but I'm not sure that's actually right. It feels wrong.
I think it's your responsibility to tell me when you would like it to be there.
Exactly.
And when customers would like it to show up.
Yes.
And then I think it's my responsibility to set and hopefully meet your expectations about when it actually will land.
Yes. I think what I can say is, for especially I think on an epic level, but probably also on a, like, if it's well defined, if there are certain things that are maybe a little bit more valuable earlier on than others, but I think what I can say is okay, for example, this automatically choosing the best node. I can say, okay, this is something where I feel this is valuable to our customers, and we should work on this next. And the better we define, what that really means, the easier it should be to say, okay, in 12.3, we will very likely deliver X, right? But we won't be able to do all of it. That will probably take until 12.4 or longer. I think that's the discussion that we need to have.
That's very much how I view it as well, because you can come to me and say, this is the most important customer thing that we need to be looking at next, and we would really like this here. And then I can, for argument's sake, say, all right, I understand that that's important. We've also had a production incident, which means that we actually we're prioritizing this for this reason. And then you had asked us for this previously, so you need to make a choice. Do you want that or do you want this? And then we have that discussion that says, okay, the current plan going forward is this. And then I sort of report back progress on how we're going to meet that.
Yes. I think maybe as part of this, what we could do is, we do that anyways, it's like we could have a discussion once a week or once a sprint that's open to the team, but it's essentially you and me talking about exactly this. So
and that's the way that I've done it in the past as well. Yes. Because I was actually, so my one-on-one for you tomorrow is actually talking about how to prioritize bugs and other issues that come up.
Yes.
And in the past, I've had meetings with the product manager saying, let's just talk about bugs and how they fit into what we're currently doing, where they go. But I think that becomes really useful. Like if it's perhaps setting up a scheduled time every Friday where we talk about, well, this is the state of the boards at the moment. This is what's currently in progress and what's going to make it, not going to make it. Is there anything you want to reset? Because, on Monday, people are going to be open for new things, or just using the week as some kind of boundary marker for having those discussions. I think that would be really useful.
I would really like that. And I think that's we kind of do this anyways, right? But I think formalizing it a bit more and saying like, hey, we are going to do this. It's open for the team. It's recorded, so that is also a transparent process, and not Rachel and Fabian sit in a room and somehow come up with things.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I like that, and also then we can encourage the people who own epics to join in, and if there are people who have epics that are starting. That are perhaps in different time zones, and we can be flexible about trying to make it that they can be part of the conversation or whatever that is. But I like the idea of having a regular conversation about how that fits and making that public.
But is the conclusion then essentially that things that, like issues that go onto the build board and that are ready for development should have a milestone associated with them, because that is something that we need to agree on. And then that should essentially determine the priority order for the team, because they can look at this and say like, okay, for 12.1, or 12.2 or whatever it's going to be. This is sort of the upcoming milestone stuff.
But then they still have to make a determination of what is the most important thing for them to work on next. Like, it feels like that way we're still going to have quite a long list of things for people to choose from.
Because the milestone is so long, or?
Well, because there might be quite a lot of things that are ready and prepared.
Yep.
But if we're associating the milestone, does that mean that you'd have like a 12.2 and 12.3 and 12.4 showing up in this board? Or we just limit it down to the 12.2 things?
So I think Tone said something where upcoming, I think, I need to now find the, God, I have too many tabs. Geo Team.
I had a challenge with upcoming because upcoming means different things in different places.
Let me quickly check because I
think you're talking about a discussion that happened, right? I think I remember. I think you're talking about start date in the past, due date in the future, upcoming, start date in the near future. Is that the comment you're talking about?
Yes.
I'll send you the link. There we go.
I don't know what near future, what this is defined as. So
I initially built the boards using started and upcoming, and it didn't behave the way that I expected. And I've raised an issue for that to be corrected, but it's unlikely that it will get addressed in time to actually use that.
So upcoming, oh, that's my dad. Just open 1 second.
No worries.
All right. Okay, so I think the definition of upcoming is show issues or merge requests that have been assigned the open milestone that has the next upcoming due date, i.e. the nearest due date in the future. And isn't this what we want?
Well, let's test it. So if we change the Kanban build board to be the milestone of 12.1?
Yeah.
12.
So if this is true, my hypothesis would be that the 12.1 Geo build board with the milestone 12.1 should be identical to the upcoming board.
Let's check that out then. Should be identical to the upcoming board. What is the upcoming board?
If I filter by upcoming. That's correct. Okay.
So that matches?
Yes. So I think it's essentially, that's cool.
So the only thing about this is that means every time the milestone is close to closing, we have to change the board. And also, as we get towards the end of a milestone, we can't see the next items that are coming up because they will be hidden. So that was why we were coming back to this idea of having an active milestone.
And I think the solution is also posted by Tone in the same discussion. Is that right? Or like a proposal for a solution.
Yeah. So what he says is, if we keep it on the building milestone, when the merge request is merged, we put the proper milestone on the issue.
that like.
So the last thing that happens before you close the issue is you assign it the milestone.
Yeah, but that's difficult, right? Because that essentially like means we're not having the visibility for.
It means your visibility shows up so late.
Exactly. I think that's. I think I can't.
Well, what if we built the board without a milestone? And so when I say build the board without a milestone, I say we just use the tag geo and something is like some form of just labels, because then it doesn't matter what milestone you'll end up adding to it, they will all show up.
Yes. So if we, for example, added a so we have 12.1 geo, and so if we go to the build board again, you Kanban build. So currently this is. So if I do no milestone and labels geo.
No, do any milestone, not no milestone, any milestone.
Okay, yes. Important difference. Labels
Yeah.
geo. And now that will give us everything. So we need to, so if we just had a label active or building or something like that, that would work, right? Because essentially that would mean on that board, anything that is active would show up with any associated milestone.
Yes. And once again, we've overloaded the use of the labels, but I think that is the best, that's the easiest answer here. What is the value? Value simple solutions?
Yes, exactly.
It's a simple thing to do, because then it's really easy to know when it's on this board. It has the label of active.
Yeah.
When the active label is removed, the active label gets removed when it's closed because it's no longer active.
Yeah.
And then when it is ready off of your board, well, we can still figure out the exact transition process, but it will show up on this board when active is applied.
I would say my transition is, like I would have to write the checklist, but essentially it's going to be, like the issue description is in place, right? It belongs to an epic. Once all of those things are done, right, I think we need to mark it as active and decide essentially on a milestone.
Well, no, I think what has to happen is it has to either be assigned to the backlog or to a milestone. Yes. And then when we have the discussion, we go through the backlog and the milestones and find issues to mark as active.
That makes sense. I like that. That's right.
I'm so glad we recorded that, because there's no way I would remember that.
Because this means that essentially things move from my planning board into our actual backlog, right? Which now is what I would like the backlog to be, the place where things are that we intend to do at some point, but are not doing right now. And then we need to go through the backlog and say, okay, what is like epics and issues are in this backlog? What are we going to do next? And when we make that decision, we are going to assign the active label, and we're going to figure out the milestones for this.
Perfect.
Ta-da!
Solved it all. We can stop there.
Yeah, exactly. That's very good.
Awesome. I will write that up and add it into that MR. And
and I think that's actually compatible with any change that is being made in product right now, because the flow in product is essentially just what goes into the planning and what goes into the building, but it doesn't, I think, mechanically prescribe how to actually manage this, and this should allow us to do that. So
fantastic.
Cool. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
That was very productive, and I should have gotten to this a little bit earlier, but sometimes sync meetings are good.
Yes. Cool.
Cool.
Enjoy your afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.